Planning for the future can be really difficult. It can feel like every time we try to plan ahead, try to anticipate what the future will bring, our plan soon totally derails. That can be a good thing or a bad thing. The future might surprise us by bringing us unexpected new relationships or opportunities, or it can laugh in our face by making our original plans seem impossible. And in the face of this uncertainty, it might seem pointless to try to plan for the future. After all, how can you expect what is totally unexpectable? How can you prepare for something you can't even conceive of yet? I'm here to tell you that you can, in fact, plan for the future, and actually I think it's really important for setting direction in your life. So here's how you can prepare for the unexpected and get the most out of your life. Now you can plan for a lot of different periods in your life, the next week, the next month, even the next year, but what I'm specifically going to show you how to do is to build a 5-year plan. 5 years is long enough that you can really make some major changes. It's not short like 1 year where you feel a sense of urgency toward reaching those goals. It's long enough that you can make some really major changes to your life if you dedicate yourself to them. And so I think thinking in terms of the next 5 years can be really helpful for setting direction. I promise you in 5 years, your future self will be thanking present you. Right, 29-year-old Nathan? Right, buddy. So here are the 3 steps I took to create my own 5-year plan. Step 1, take some time to deeply envision your future self. A 5-year plan should be a holistic guide to your life, a plan to achieve your highest life goals or to set yourself on the path toward achieving them. Remember, this is big. This is the time to think about what you want your life to look like in all aspects, what kind of relationships you dream of, where you want to live, where you want to travel, what you want to create, what you want to do for work, and what you want your life in general to look like. But you have to be really specific when you're setting these initial goals for your 5-year plan. It can't just be, oh, I want to work for myself or I want to travel the world. Instead, try to think through your day-to-day life. When and where do you want to wake up? Who do you want to be around? Who do you want to spend your days around? What do you want to spend your days doing? What happens after you wake up? What do you do for your morning routine? What do you do in the afternoon? Do you have a job? Do you work? Or do you just have sources of passive income? What does your day-to-day 24-hour life look like? As you envision these details, write them down. Nothing is too small at this stage. Think of it as a brainstorming session. You're conjuring up images of everything you dream about, whether it's realistic or not, whether it's too specific or not specific enough. This is a time to dream, to visualize. I'd recommend spending at least 30 minutes brainstorming your dream life in 5 years, but feel free to take more time if you're really digging deep. Once you've got all of your goals and dreams written out, it's time to move on to Step 2, establish specifics. So now you've got a big list of all of your hopes and dreams written out. Now it's time to go through and evaluate if each one is actually something you really want to do, something you need to do in the next 5 years. Remember, we're not just building a list of goals for the next 5 years, we're building a plan to reach them. We're going to specifically evaluate each goal and how we can reach that in the next 5 years. So if it's not something that you really want to accomplish, that you really need to get done, you shouldn't have it on your list. If you wrote out something like learn how to play guitar, but that's something you want to do as a hobby and it's just kind of something fun you want to do, that's awesome, but maybe don't include that in your 5-year plan. If it's not something you hold really close to your heart or something really core to who you are as a person, it's a good thing to have written out somewhere but not included in the 5-year plan. For example, I really love to cook, and over the next 5 years, I really do want to build my cooking skills, my knife skills, my baking skills, but it's not something I necessarily need to include in my plan because it's not something I want to work towards, whether professionally or in a different way. It's not something that I really need to make central to my life. It's just something I like to do, but not something I need to include a specific plan for. On the other hand, I really want to learn how to be a better filmmaker. That's something I can work with because it's something that's really dear to me and I want to pursue every day. So when I've got that really important goal identified, I'm going to get specific. Instead of writing, learn to become a better filmmaker, I'm going to set a specific attainable goal. Reach 50,000 subscribers on YouTube. I know that if I reach that many subscribers, I must be creating videos that are really high quality. That goal means I'll have to become a better filmmaker, and yet it's a specific enough number that I can work towards. But I'm also gonna have to be realistic with my goals. I'm not gonna say get 3 million subscribers. That's a number that involves at least a bit of luck. Some really talented creators never reach that number. But I know that if I put in the work and consistently improve, I can reach 50,000. Finances are another really important part of modern life and something most of us should probably be including in our 5-year plans. But again, be realistic. Instead of saying something like, be financially free, Evaluate your current status, your current financial status, and see what it would take to get you there, or what's realistic for you. For example, you might want to say something like have X number of dollars in savings, or have invested X number of dollars. Maybe say I'm making a certain income each year. Get specific with your goals, but again, make sure that it's attainable. Don't pick a number that's so crazy and out there that it would definitely involve some level of luck. Most of us aren't going to be millionaires in 5 years, so pick something that you think is attainable if you put consistent work in without being too far out there. Again, this process is going to take some time. It's going to take some time to just filter through your initial brainstormed list of goals and figure out which ones are really important to achieve in the next 5 years. And then it's going to take even more time to write out the specifics of those, to think about what's actually realistic for your life and the way you operate, what you can do if you put the work in, and create specific targets for 5 years. But once you've got your specific goals set, it's time to move on to the third and final step. Create a timeline. So now you've got some specific goals that you're really passionate about and you want to achieve in 5 years. That's awesome. The problem is 5 years is a really long time from now. Thinking of where things are going to be in 2026 is almost impossible for most of us. We're likely to procrastinate on a deadline up until a month before, or a week before, or even days before. We're master procrastinators. So how are we going to put any work in if our deadline is in 5 years? That's why it was so important to set specific and reasonable goals in the past steps, so that now we can build a plan to actually achieve them and set smaller deadlines for ourselves so we can reach success. The only way to overcome the trap of pushing things off and procrastinating on your goals is to create a really specific timeline for achieving them. It's not enough to say that I'll get to 50,000 subscribers on YouTube in 5 years. If I left it at that, I might convince myself that I don't need to start making videos this week or this month or even this year. I've got plenty of time, right? To overcome that thinking, I have to break down my 5-year plan into smaller steps. How do I get to 50,000 subscribers? Well, I need to upload consistently. Once a week seems doable, so I'll set a timeline of uploading a YouTube video every single week for the next 5 years. Now I've got a plan. I've got something that's actionable right now, and I've created a sense of urgency. I have weekly, smaller deadlines to hit in order to reach that 5-year goal. So go through and make timelines that make sense for achieving your 5-year goals. Depending on the goal, it might make sense to set a daily timeline or a weekly deadline, or even something that you need to do every month. Whatever makes sense for reaching that goal. And be sure to schedule in times to review your goals into your timeline. Set reminders for every 3 months or 6 months to see how you're progressing. In 6 months, after 6 months of consistent uploads, I'm going to evaluate the progress I've made. How many subscribers have I gained? More importantly, have I built the beginning of a meaningful community on YouTube? I think reaching 1,000 subscribers within 6 months is doable, so I'm going to set that goal as a smaller goal for my 5-year plan and evaluate where I am on that trajectory, or if I need to adjust something. And these check-ins will also give you time to evaluate whether your goal is actually realistic once you're putting in the work and if it needs to be adjusted. For example, after 3 years of consistent uploads, it might be nowhere near 50,000 subscribers, and so I might realize that my goal is too high and lower it to be more realistic. And that's not a failure, that's just an adjustment now that I understand better the reality of the situation. Likewise, I might find that I've already reached 50,000 subscribers at some point before I hit 5 years, and so from then, I might adjust my goal to be a higher subscriber count or focus more on building community or something like that. At this point, you're probably either really excited dreaming about the life you could have in 5 years, or you're still questioning the value of planning for the future. But I recently created my 5-year plan, and I can assure you that it's a really helpful way to make sure you're living with intention. Instead of letting month after month and year after year pass you by while you save your dreams for later, it gives your mind the structure it needs to start now. To start now on building something meaningful, on working toward that thing that you've always dreamed of. So over the next week or so, take some time to really think about your 5-year plan. This can be a slow process. As you go about your day, think about what you would like to do differently and jot those things down onto a page. Once you've got a good idea of what you want your life to look like in 5 years, then it's time to sit down and really create specific, actionable goals. Once you've got those goals, it's time to create a plan of action that will give you the structure you need to actually be able to achieve those goals in 5 years. And this isn't a guarantee that you'll achieve all those goals or even that you'll want your life to look like you dream of it now anyway. But it's much better to live towards building something meaningful, towards figuring out how to live with purpose than just to let life pass you by. That's right, Nathan. Thanks, Nathan. As you know, I'm Nathan Emery, I'm 24 and I recently moved across the country and got married. I'm trying to figure out who I am and what my place is in this world. So if you want to follow along on my journey of self-discovery and self-development, be sure to hit that subscribe button.